right here, right now predictions.
10th, Daniel Ricciardo. I'd like you to repeat yourself for the audience. In 5th place.
Verstappen will place 5th next year in the Drivers' Championship.
I can count. I can see who you're missing. You can see who I'm missing. I've gone for a safe bet. You have lost your mind.
20 years of trying, 20 years.
And Senna sprints away. Banana.
On the straight, Rossi's right in behind Lorenzo.
The 101st Indianapolis 500 is won by Takuma Sato. Dale Earnhardt will come to the caution flag to win the Daytona 500.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 88 of the Clutch Dump. And before I say another word, we have a probably 2-hour special edition where we recap the last 2 weeks of motorsports. Because last week was a holiday with Thanksgiving. I had family come into town. It was a very busy time.
True.
But not only that, by the time that Ben and I realized, hey, we could record after the holidays, it was like, well, shoot. Formula One's this weekend. It's the season finale. MotoGP also wrapped up this last weekend.
True.
But regardless of what happened this last weekend, we have 2 to cover. So without further ado, let me remind you to follow us on social media at The Clutch Dump on Instagram. If you do follow us on Instagram, comment below which celebrity was featured in our last post. And that way we'll know. But additionally, if you're listening to us on Spotify and for whatever reason we were in your Spotify Wrapped, definitely post it and tag us because that'd be sick. And then additionally, follow.
Definitely wasn't in mine.
Yeah, right. Definitely wasn't in mine either. Then you're on YouTube. Hello, welcome.
Hi.
Make sure to like the video, subscribe, and share with your friends if you feel so inclined. Man, Ben wearing that watch just made my day. I'm gonna sip in my Radford tumbler.
It's a nice looking. That's large. What's in that? Go ahead. Yes. So, like Nick said, we have a giant motorsport episode because it's 2 weeks of motorsport that we need to talk about. However, we do have so much motorsport news that we need to talk about. Mr. Patty, anything that you sent me today, I don't have on here, but everything else I do. So I can run through this.
How about this? I'm pulling up Twitter. How about I just go through the couple things I sent you? It was literally a few, and then we can talk everything that's organized.
Please.
All right, fantastic. Well, ladies and gentlemen, Felipe Massa is racing the Rolex 24 this year in a Riley LMP2 car. That is from Sports Car 365. We have 2 big bits of NASCAR news. One of which is the new NASCAR TV partnership deal worth $7.7 billion.
For some reason.
And the first 14 Cup Series races in 2025 will be hosted by Fox. Then Amazon Prime will stream 5 events. And then TNT will stream 5 races on TNT TV and Bleacher Report Sports tier on the HBO Max streaming service. And then NBC Sports will complete the final 14 races. Just a quick couple thoughts. One, it is like getting a license to have a fully automatic rifle these days in order to just watch some NASCAR. Why that is, I do not understand. But everybody's acting like this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and they are incorrect.
It just means I'm not going to watch NASCAR next year.
Exactly. Well, and I tried my damnedest to watch every single race this last year, and it was still difficult, but I ended up doing it. More NASCAR news. David Reagan, blast from the past, I know, is going to try to qualify for the Daytona 500 in 2024 with a new program from Roush Fenway Keselowski Racing called Stage 60. And if you're like, what the hell is Stage 60? That is essentially the RFK version of Project 91.
Got it.
Back into our regularly scheduled programming. Ben, should I touch on the one NASCAR point we have in our notes?
You can. There's another one, but go ahead.
Ooh. Well, the first one is that Kevin Harvick bought the real-life mansion that Ricky Bobby lived in North Carolina for $6.75 million. And if you don't follow any of the NASCAR drivers on any of the social platforms, definitely need to follow Ryan Preece because his social media was pretty funny, talking about how he was going to come over in his Wonder Bread and Old Spice suit with Chase Briscoe to have some dinner.
That'd be pretty good.
If you
I'd
don't
quite
know what
enjoy
I'm
that.
talking about, then you're not a NASCAR fan, and that's okay.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, I think I've seen that movie. Maybe. Possibly once. I don't know. But other NASCAR news. McPatty, new Toyota Camry Cup car. How do we feel?
So hot.
It's pretty good.
So hot.
It's very good. I'm a big fan of it.
Blows the dark horse out of the water. And almost, I've seen probably close to 100 tweets about this or replies.
Mm-hmm.
All but 2 are negative. All but 2 think the old Camry looked better.
I kind of agree. It looks good, but I do like the old shape. And I think it's one of those things if it'll grow on me, but...
Old shape, it's a NASCAR. They hardly have shape.
It's true. Haven't had shape since, like, the 70s. So...
Okay, the late 80s, early 90s, Ben. The Lumina had...
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, bunch of open wheel news that we have. Starting off, Leah Block has joined the Williams Driver Academy and will drive in F1 Academy next year for ART Racing. Now, if you are unfamiliar with F1 Academy, it is a 15-driver field, and starting in 2024, 10 of the drivers will be sponsored by one of the 10 Formula One teams and will race with their livery. So Leah Block has joined the Williams Driver Academy, and she will be sponsored by them for her F1 Academy season in 2024.
Add as a component of the Formula One Academy, Tina Hausmann, who's apparently a young Swiss driver. She was announced to be racing with the Aston Martin F1 backed. I don't know if it's Prema or another one of the teams.
Prema.
And then additional news is Jessica Hawkins, who's one of the Aston Martin reserve drivers, again related to F1 Academy, is now also going to be some head of F1 Academy stuff for Aston. So,
cool.
All that to say, F1 Academy is having some more publicity. Doesn't mean interest, but publicity. So,
well, that's good because F1 Academy is a better version of W Series, because the problem with W Series,
same crap though,
because W Series wasn't supported by Formula One whatsoever, and it was kind of a whole separate series, whereas F1 Academy runs on Formula One weekends, and you can actually watch it on F1 TV.
And I did watch the race at Coda, and I am unimpressed.
You're a sexist. That's misogynistic.
Listen.
It's Formula 4. I mean,
but
normal Formula 4 isn't that interesting.
It's more interesting than W Series was because, you have a full field as opposed to 10.
15.
Okay, well, goes to show how much I know.
I watched the W Series race at Coda. I found it rather entertaining. But I pretty much find any racing that isn't NASCAR entertaining. So
and is also single, and that's a series full of women.
You can't tell that from outside the car. They look all the same. Anyway, Graham Rahal and RLL Racing have signed a multi-year contract extending his stint for IndyCar. General Motors has announced it has formally registered as a Formula One power unit manufacturer starting in 2028 and plans to supply Andretti Cadillac as a full works team. Once again, Andretti Cadillac, as we sit, November 29th, still not a Formula One team. Still waiting on that one. Hopefully that happens. And then Aston Martin Formula One sells a minority stake to private equity Arctos Partners at a $1 billion valuation, which I think makes it the 4th or 5th most highest valued team on the grid. So good for Aston Martin, good for Lawrence Stroll. Congratulations, Lance. You get to keep your salary for next year. Moving on to sports car news, Marcus Ericsson and Jenson Button have been confirmed as driving for WTR in the ARX 06 at the 2024 24 Hours of Daytona. Ollie Jarvis will join Marvin Kirchhofer. Did I pronounce that right?
Kirchhofer, yeah.
Kirchhofer to form FAF Motorsports full season GTD Pro lineup for 2024.
And in addition to that, just because I don't see it here, James Hinchcliffe is joining FAF Motorsports as their endurance driver for the Michelin Cup endurance events in the McLaren. So welcome back to James Hinchcliffe to
yes.
racing.
Richard Westbrook will return to JDC Miller Motorsports for the 2024 IMSA Sports Car Championship after a year away driving in the WEC for Cadillac. Ben Keating moves to JDC Miller Motorsports for the Rolex 24. Valentino Rossi, big fan of this, has been confirmed for Team WRT in their LMGT3 and will drive the entire 2024 WEC season. I wrote WRC there. I was incorrect. WEC season.
But you know who I'm more excited about getting a seat in the top class?
No one, because it's Rossi.
Did you see this?
Probably.
Robert Kubica?
Yes. Yeah. AF Corsa.
With AF Corsa for the Ferrari Hypercar program.
499p.
I believe
rad.
13 years almost to the day that he had his Ferrari F1 contract fall through after his rally injury. So things coming full circle.
Full circle for Mr. Kubica. That'll be super. Sports car racing in general next year is going to be so good. Matt Campbell will replace Dane Cameron aboard the number 5 Porsche Penske 963 in WEC for 2024, and United Autosport will run 2 McLaren 720 GT3s in the 2024 WEC season.
Well, since
one more thing,
sports car, I'll do MotoGP. How about that?
Sure, by all means.
So, MotoGP, Red Bull has told Honda that it's gonna bounce. It's done with Honda after the Marc Marquez exit. Makes sense. Red Bull was a minority sponsor anyway. The franchise rider of a decade left. You know, you might as well.
I mean, they went with Marc though. Like Marc is still sponsored by Red Bull. Honda's not.
Right. Davide Brivio from Suzuki will replace Alberto Puig as the new team principal of Repsol Honda. Luca Marini is leaving the VR46 Ducati team to replace Marc Marquez at Repsol Honda, which is kind of cool. He had a little post about how, as a kid, he was wearing a Repsol Honda suit, and that was his dream, so cool for him. Fabio Di Gianantonio is going to replace Luca Marini at the VR46 Ducati team, which is fitting considering an Italian leaves and Italian joy.
So stoked about that. Yeah, the Luca Marini news was incredibly shocking because those of you who don't follow MotoGP, VR46 is the team owned by Valentino Rossi, who was number 46, and Luca Marini is his brother. So that was probably an awkward move for them.
Stop.
Half brother. Luca Marini is his half brother, which is why everyone was like, "Oh, that's the only reason that he got a seat or whatever." And then he actually got a bunch of pole positions and podiums and stuff. And everyone was like, "Oh no, maybe it's just a Rossi thing. You're kind of fast." But yeah, he's like the half Rossi thing. It made for great memes all season because all the MotoGP meme pages were was kid asking mom, can we get Rossi versus Marquez? And it was like, Mom, we have Rossi versus Marquez at home, and it's Luca Marini battling Alex Marquez. Made for great memes. Very funny. Anyway, Luca Marini moving to Repsol Honda, and Fabio Gianantonio, who thank God got a seat at VR46, because as we'll get to, he won a race on that Gresini Ducati this year, and he's been doing fantastic this second half of the season. We'll get to that. We will also talk about the Valencia test where they were on those bikes. Some rally news, and probably incredibly shocking news, one of the biggest news in rally that we've seen in a long time. Kalle Rovanperä will take a season off from the WRC, only doing a part-time season in 2024. Now, a bit of a spoiler, we are going to talk about the last round of the 2023 WRC season in a moment. That was Rally Japan. No surprise, Kalle Rovanperä is your 2023 WRC champion. I actually think I mentioned that 2 rallies ago, I believe is when that was. The dude is the youngest World Rally champion of all time, won 2 championships in a row, and then said, yeah, I'm going to take a season off. I'm going to do a part-time season next year, which was a surprise to everyone. But the cool part means we know who's not winning the championship next year. We won't have a repeat champion next year, which is kind of cool. Yeah, this would kind of be like if Max said, I'm going to take a gap year. I'm just going to not be there next year. And it's like, wait, something else is going to happen? Yeah, so that's super exciting.
Is it just me, or has WRC fallen off in popularity?
Everything else has grown in popularity. WRC it was peak was Group B rally, because when Group B was a thing, it had more viewers than Formula One. So it was Group B, and then it just kind of slowly simmered down a bit. and then like Colin McRae and all those guys showed up, and it got popular again, and then it was really good, and then Drive to Survive with Sebastian Loeb and all that era, and Sebastian Ogier, and then Drive to Survive came out, and it just kind of petered off since then. And it's one of those things of like, it's the top class of racing for rally,
But
and there's
so niche.
But rally is so niche, and like also it's 10 cars. Like also like it's super hard to watch. Like,
Yeah.
I think I watched 1 or 2 stages this year. It's super hard to follow if you're in this country. If you live in Europe, apparently it's like watching NASCAR here. Actually, it's probably easier than watching NASCAR here.
Yeah.
But apparently it's just like sports that's on TV. It's just a thing there. So it's super popular in Europe, but it never really picked up in the US, which is why we tried Rallycross here, and that still didn't work, because to like Rallycross, you have to have liked Rally, and it didn't work. But yeah, sadly, WRC has kind of fallen off a bit. All the teams in WRC are trying to get Subaru to come back. They're trying to convince Subaru to leave the ARA and come to WRC, which would be awesome for the WRC because we get a 4th manufacturer, but would suck for the ARA because that basically means we don't have a top class in the ARA anymore, which sucks.
Right.
So it's 6 and 1/2 dozen in the other. But yeah, that'd be super cool. And last bit of rally news that we have, Hyundai have confirmed that Esa-Pekka Lappi and co-driver Janne Ferm will return in 2024 for a partial season. A lot of partial seasons going on next year. And we'll actually talk about in a bit how impressive some of those partial seasons can be. Now, done with our news section, we do have actual motorsport to talk about. Mr. Patty, I figured instead of doing last week's and then this week's, I figured we'd kind of just go by motorsport, both last week and this week, and then jump to another motorsport.
That works for me, sir.
Do you mind if I start off with some good old V8 supercars down in Australia's?
Please.
All right, so this past weekend we had the Valo Adelaide 500, which was the final round of the 2023 Repco Supercars Championship, and means we did get a champion for 2023. Now, we had 2 races, which were races 27 and 28. And something to note, going into this weekend, the 2 people that had a chance at the championship was one, Brody Kostecki, who races for Coca-Cola Racing in that gorgeous Camaro ZL1, and Shane Van Gisbergen, as we know, the greatest NASCAR driver of 2023 in that Red Bull Ampol Racing Camaro. So good news for us Chevy boys. We actually won something this year. I mean, we also won GT3 or GTE.
Our constructors.
Yes, we got that, but like Ford took NASCAR, so we'll take this. Anyway, that's who we were looking at going into this weekend. And sadly, well, that was short-lived, because on lap 1 of race 27 on Friday, your first race of the weekend, Shane Van Gisbergen has contact into the wall, front suspension damage, and that was it. Championship over. That quick. It was turn 3 of lap 1. That was it. Championship over, which kind of sucks because it was really good, and I had hope that SVG was going to leave and go win a NASCAR race and then come back and take the championship and leave on top and cement his glory as the greatest supercars driver of all time, which, to be fair, still is, but, you know, was going to like leave with the championship and then go and
he's not the greatest of all time.
There we go. Wait, for V8 supercars drivers?
Correct.
Who are you referring to?
Jamie Whincup will always be number 1.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Shane Van Gisbergen of the modern era of V8 supercars, like the current ones.
Don't say that.
Anyway.
I'm not that old, Ben. Don't say that.
You're freaking old, Nick. Anyway, Shane Van Gisbergen DNF'd race 27. I'm going to go through your top 10 finishers. Scott Paye finished 10th. Andre Heimgartner 9th. James Courtney 8th. Will Davison 7th. Brody Kostecki, your 2023 Repco Supercars champion, finished 6th. Brock Feeney, SVG's teammate, finished 5th. Chaz Mostert finished 4th. Thomas Randall 3rd. David Reynolds 2nd. And Cam Waters winning race 27. Nick, Patty, did you see Cam Waters' livery for this past weekend?
Which one was it?
Cam Waters was the Ken Block liveried Mustang.
I did not.
Oh my gosh. Okay, you got to find a picture of this. Cam Waters did a special livery celebrating Ken Block. It was such a cool livery, and he freaking won the race. It was so good. It's the one time I wanted a Ford to win a Supercars race because I've been
the monster one.
Yeah, the white and black one.
Oh, okay. I'm not seeing that one.
Let me see if I can look this up real quick.
I'm just seeing his all black one at the moment.
Yeah, if you just look up Cam Waters Ken Block livery, it pops right up. Pops right up.
As you were.
Anyway, Cam Waters won race 27. Moving on to race 20.
How do you spell Cam?
C-A-M.
Yeah, Waters.
W-A-T-E-R-S.
Right. And then Ken Block livery. My top row is Ken Block's Ford Fiesta, then a Ken Block Ford Focus, then the all-black Cam Waters car, then the Hoonick Pig Mustang, and then another all-black car, and then a Ken Block 2021 Subaru car. I'm not seeing this.
Nick, okay, Arizona internet is much different than Texas internet, apparently.
Chrome?
Yeah, I'm on Chrome. Cam Waters Ken Block livery is all I did, and I clicked images.
I really do not see any of it.
Okay, 1 second. I will... Hold one, people. I'm sorry.
You lie.
Nick, go to the bottom of the notes.
You know what, Ben? I'm going to go to the bottom of the notes.
Race 28, your results. Thomas Randall.
See, isn't it?
It's so good. Thank you. Anyway, moving on. Thomas Randall finished 10th. Will Davison 9th. Brody Kostecki finished 8th in the final race of the season. Anton De Pasquale finished 7th. Andre Heimgartner finished 6th. Chaz Mostert 5th. Cam Waters in that beautiful Ford Mustang finished 4th. David Reynolds 3rd. Brock Feeney 2nd. And Matthew Payne taking the top step of the podium for the last time in 2023. That means your championship standings are as follows. Like I mentioned, Brody Kostecki is your 2023 Repco Supercars champion in that Coca-Cola Racing Camaro ZL1 beautiful car with 6 wins, 10 pole positions, 2,888 points. Shane Van Gisbergen came second, 5 wins, 3 pole positions, 2,565 points. And Brock Feeney finishes off your podium for the championship. Shane Van Gisbergen's teammates, both racing for Red Bull Ampol Racing in Camaro ZL1s with 5 wins, 3 poles, equaling win-to-pole ratio of Shane Van Gisbergen, 2,441 points. Something I would like to point out, shout out to Chaz Mostert, who races a Ford Mustang, was your highest finishing Mustang in 4th position for Walkinshaw Andretti United. Finished 4th, 0 wins, 0 pole positions, which is such a weird stat to me. So well done to all of them. Fantastic season. I hope I can watch Supercars more next season. So far, first season, Gen 3 Supercars, super good, look awesome, sound good. Big fan. As an American, I'm very happy Australia now races American cars. As an Australian, I'm sure I'd be upset. Bring back the Holden and all that stuff.
Typically a good rule of thumb.
Yeah. But well done to all of them. That was a fantastic season. We will try to cover it a bit more next year. It's going to be one of the motorsports that we continue to follow. We're going to change it up a bit next year. We'll continue to follow Supercars. I love it. I think Nick loves it. We're going to try to watch a couple races. It'll be a good time. I'm going to run through WRC Japan real quick, and then we will move on. WRC, we had Rally Japan this past weekend, and boy, was it a weird one, because during Friday's stages, both Danny Sordo and Adrian Formax put their vehicles into the same ditch on the outside.
I saw. I couldn't remember if it was Japan or a different one.
Yes, so there's a very famous photo now famous photo that if you follow, ESPN or anybody, they probably reposted it, of this Ford Puma and this Hyundai i20 facing opposite directions in the same ditch with a river running underneath them. And this happened on the outside of a slippery right-hander. Now, Takamoto Katsuta actually went through that turn before them. He was the first person to have an issue on that stage, and his car stepped out and actually clipped a tree, and they could see when dirt. So, by the way, if you're an American and you want updates on WRC, just follow Dirtfish. They're super consistent about it, and they have international reporters and stuff that are at all the races. Super good. If you're an American, dirtfish.com, highly recommended. But they showed the tree, and there was like a 1 foot section of this tree just missing bark, where he just wall tapped this tree and barely made it through. And both Danny Sordo and Adrian Formax had to have their cars pulled out of this ditch, supposedly actually okay with it was mostly cosmetic damage, because they didn't go flying in there type of thing. But they both did retire from the race after that. I'm going to run through your rally results. Elfyn Evans was on the top step of the podium in his GR Yaris with a total time of 3 hours, 32 minutes, 08.8. Sebastian Ogier finished second. Note, running a part-time season in a GR Yaris, 3 hours, 33 minutes, 26.4. He was 1 minute, 17.7 seconds behind Evans. Kalle Rovanperä, your two-time 2023 WRC champion, came third once again in a GR Yaris. Toyota dominating both WEC and WRC this year. Hopefully that changes next year, Toyota, dear, please. We'll see. Anyway, Calle's time was 3 hours, 33 minutes, 55.3. He was only 28 seconds behind Ogier over 3 days of racing. Esa-Pekka Lappi finished fourth in his I-20N with a time of 3 hours, 34 minutes, 59.1 seconds. He was 1:03 behind Rovanperä. Takamoto Katsuta, who I mentioned earlier, came fifth, 3 hours, 35 minutes, 19.1. Ott Tanak, your lone Puma this weekend, finished sixth with a time of 3 hours, 35.37.1. And then Thierry Neuville came last in his I-20N with 4 hours, even 13.5 seconds. That puts him 24 minutes behind Ott Tanak. He ran into some issues as well. Now I'm kind of going to use this time as to do kind of a 2023 WRC wrap up real quick. When we get to Formula One, we are going to have a separate episode. Probably episode 90 is going to be a like Formula One season wrap up type thing, because this is already going to be a really long episode and we don't want to go super in depth into the Formula One season as a whole. We'll mention it a bit, but it's going to get a whole episode. But WRC 2023, Kalle Rovanperä, like I said, is your champion with a very satisfying 250 points even. He had 3 rally wins and 73 stage wins. That is 29.55% of the stages, which is a ridiculous amount of stages, unless you're a Max Verstappen fan, in which case that's barely anything. But for a WRC champion, that's actually insanely impressive. That was a lot. He wrapped that championship up pretty early. Elfyn Evans, also in a GR Yaris, came second, 216 points, 34 points behind him as well. 3 rally wins, 24 stage wins out of 247. That's about 9% of the stage wins. Thierry Neuville came third in his I-20N, obviously highest finishing Hyundai, 189 points, 61 points behind Rovanperä, 27 behind Evans. He had 2 rally wins, and he won 41 of the 247 stages. Ott Tanak in that Ford Puma Rally 1. Note, Ott Tanak moving back to Hyundai for the 2024 season, as I mentioned many moons ago. 174 points, 76 behind Rovanperä, 15 behind Neuville, 2 rally wins, 31 stage wins. Sebastian Ogier, this is where things get exciting. Sebastian Ogier ran a partial season in a Toyota GR Yaris. He had 133 points, which puts him 117 behind Rovanperä, but only 41 behind Ott Tanak. He won 3 rallies, which is the same amount as Rovanperä and Evans. He did not participate in 5 rallies. He won 36 of 247 stages total, but he won 36 of the 151 that he participated in, which is 24% of the stages he participated in, which was only bettered by Rovanperä. So Sebastian Ogier, who ran a partial season, is still championship winning material. So he had a crazy season that definitely went under the radar. Esa-Pekka Lappi came 6th, 113 points, 137 behind Rovanperä, 20 behind Ogier, 0 rally wins, 13 stage wins. Takamoto Katsuta 7th in that Toyota GR Yaris, 101 points, which puts him 149 behind Robin Parra, 12 behind Lappy, 0 rally wins, 19 stage wins. And then Danny Sordo in his I-20N, 63 points, 187 behind Robin Parra, 38 behind Katsuta, 0 rally wins, 5 stage wins. And I just want to go ahead and mention Craig Breen, who, if you've been listening to this show or followed WRC, sadly passed away at the 3rd rally of this season. He had 0 rally wins, but he did win 4 stages in the beginning of this season. Rally Estonia. Just some things I want to mention about this season. Rally Estonia, every stage was won by either Ott Tanak or Kalle Rovanperä. Kalle Rovanperä won 15 stages in a row at Rally Estonia, which is insane. And then Rally Japan, this final rally of the season, Takamoto Katsuta won 10 stages in a row, which is fantastic. He's always been good here, Japanese driver, so he's rather familiar with this rally. He always does well here, but it was good to see him get some stage wins in there. And that is going to do it for your 2023 WRC season. Let me pull up the 2024 calendar so we can see when the season starts up. If it'll pop up, please load sooner. Nope. Failing me here. Failing me. Got it. Rally Monte Carlo, January 25th. January 25th, season picks up again. Mr. Patty, do we want to go into Formula One? Do we want to go to MotoGP? What do we want to do?
Let's go ahead and do some Formula One, and I'll pop into Vegas. You can do some Abu Dhabi.
Please.
So, ladies and gentlemen, Las Vegas, listen. We're not going to need to go through all the drama, okay? Because there was a lot of drama. There was a lot of negativity.
Well, actually...
Hold on. No, damn it. I have the floor, Ben. Sorry. I'm going to go through the results.
Okay.
And then we can talk about a few of the key things here. But let's go ahead and get the results out of the way. In qualifying, starting at the bottom, Yuki Tsunoda. Whoa. More
He's a little rusty, boys and girls. Give him a second. He needs to warm up.
Yuki Tsunoda in 20th, Oscar Piastri 19th, Zhou Guanyu 18th, Esteban Ocon 17th, Lando Norris 16th, Daniel Ricciardo 15th, Lance Stroll 14th, 13th, Nico Hulkenberg 12th, Sergio Perez. Yes, he's in the most dominant car of all time. We're not going to mention that. 11th.
Yes, we will.
10th is Fernando Alonso. 9th is Kevin Magnussen. Valtteri Bottas, and 8th, Logan Sargent, 7th, Alex Albon, 6th, Pierre Gasly, 5th, George Russell, 4th, Max Verstappen, 3rd, you heard that right, Carlos Sainz, 2nd, but he had a 10-place grid penalty, and Charles Leclerc on pole. You know what that means. Max Verstappen won the race.
Max Verstappen won the race.
In 2nd, Sergio Perez with an amazing drive up into 3rd, Esteban Ocon in 4th, Lance Stroll in 5th, tying his season best, Carlos Sainz in 6th, Lewis Hamilton in 7th, George Russell 8th, Fernando Alonso 9th, Oscar Piastri 10th, Pierre Gasly 11th, Alex Albon 12th, Kevin Magnussen 13th, Daniel Ricciardo 14th, Zhou Guanyu 15th, Logan Sargent 16th, Valtteri Bottas 17th, and then you have Tsunoda, Hulkenberg, and Norris being your DNFs. Norris in quite dramatic fashion. A couple things to take away. Vegas was one of the best races of the year, number one. Number two,
it was surprisingly good.
The exhaust note out of these Formula One cars down the Las Vegas Strip are exhaust notes that you do not hear the entire rest of the season because this is the fastest these cars
not bad
the entire season.
Yep. I think, what did Perez do? Or no, not Perez. Sainz, 227 miles an hour.
Oh,
is what I saw.
I saw it was 222, I thought.
Something like that. It was in the 220s, which they don't do at any other track. It's such a
run since the early 2010s.
Yeah, it's such a long straight. Now, here's the thing. You don't really get a sense for how big the track is because they're Formula One cars and they go around it super fast. And I don't mean to plug a giant YouTube channel, but if you want a good perspective of the track, the Smoking Tire got to do 3 hot laps in an Aston DBX 707, and you get a great perspective of the track that you don't get from the Formula One cars because you go by...
Him Wolfkill's sister. Did I tell you this? Did I say this on the last episode?
No, Nick, we haven't recorded since before. Oh, no, you did mention this, yes, but mention it again.
No, go ahead. How long was it since we recorded? Did I mention it? Go ahead.
It's like 3 weeks ago. It's been a long time.
Well, anyway, my boss's sister got to ride with Tony Kanaan on a McLaren 720S, and they did 190 on the strip.
Yeah, that strip is, that straight is so fast. I think they did 177 in the DBX.
I would
rowdy.
Yeah, I need to see the pants.
World's fastest SUV, that one, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yes, I do know that.
It does like 211 or something stupid.
If you're a lunatic.
Or if you're on the Las Vegas Strip. For starters, real quick, what's your thoughts on the Carlos Sainz situation?
I'm not gonna lie, and ladies and gentlemen, I will say something. Ben, you might want to clip this. In the first time in the history of my life, Toto Wolff could not have said it any better.
Sadly, I agree. I do think it's messed up. It sucks, but
big deal.
Big deal. That's kind of it. It sucks.
It's not like Haas sued the Bahrain circuit because, well, our car happened to slide in between the fence.
Right. It's one of those things of like, okay, yes, it sucks. He got it. So if you didn't hear somehow, Carlos Sainz, free practice 1, runs over manhole cover, pulls the manhole cover out of the ground.
It was welded, by the way.
It was welded in. So there's a tube and then a lid, and the lid was welded to the tube. The tube is in the concrete. It pulled the tube out of the concrete. In case you're wondering how underbody tunnels of Formula 1 cars work, they're good enough to pull metal out of concrete. Pulled it out, destroyed the bottom of the car, trashed the engine, trans, wiring harness, ruined the car. Car's gone. Okay. Now, because of that, they had to change a bunch of components, 10-place grid penalty, per the rules. Now, the FIA states that you can launch a petition or something like that, and if the entire grid, all of the team principals agree to it, penalty goes away.
Right.
Sucks. And pretty much the reason for this is, components like engine, transmission, that sort of thing are wear components. So they do get worse over the season. And when you replace them, that means you have more power. That means you're more efficient.
Fresh.
And you're faster, which means, you get a grid penalty. Because you got to restart your season in terms of power-wise. It's not designed for, hey, the track fell apart and it destroyed my car. Now, here's the thing. They took it to a vote. Everyone voted yes in favor of no penalty for Carlos Sainz, except for one, Toto Wolff. Now, here's the thing. Does it suck for Carlos Sainz? Yes, absolutely. But I agree with Toto Wolff. It sucks, but we'll forget about it eventually, which is true. But also, if we made an exception for him, you have to make an exception for all of them. Because if something like this happens again at a different track or whatever, any team principal can go, hey, but we got to be okay with this, right? Because remember when we did that thing in Vegas for Carlos? So it becomes one of those things of if we brush this one under the rug, we got to brush all of them under the rug. So I understand Toto Wolff's standpoint, and I kind of agree with it.
Right.
Sucks for Carlos, but if it was any other team, they would have gotten the same penalty. So that's just how it works. But overall, the race was really good. Second most overtakes we got in a race this season, 86 overtakes.
Zandvoort.
Behind Zandvoort, but Zandvoort was 183 overtakes, which was stupid. Zandvoort's just a great track. But Vegas is all right. It's okay.
Listen, I will say this. I am proud to say I never once said I thought Vegas was going to be a bad race. Not once.
I absolutely said it. I think and here's the thing.
Thank you, because you are more of a man than almost everyone.
I'll say it. I thought the Vegas race was going to be trash.
The amount of commentators that were berating Liberty Media in Vegas.
Mm-hmm.
And then after it, they're like, wow, that was a sensational race. I'm so glad I knew it was going to be good all along. It's like, no, you didn't.
Also, you know who else did that? Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen did that hard.
But here's the thing. He's a driver. So,
True. Yeah.
He drove the race.
Right.
You're a spectator. You're talking from a spectator's point of view.
Right. Now, here's the thing, though. Caveat to my statement. There's a bit of an omission. The Las Vegas race
Yes.
was good.
Yes, agreed.
The festivities beforehand,
And afterwards.
I am ashamed to be an American because of those, dude. They were so bad. I don't like it.
Jen Keys, you just said you're ashamed to be an American. Come here.
I don't know where they are, and they probably don't work anyway.
Give it to me.
I'm ashamed to be an American because we had a wrestling announcer introduce Sergio Perez, and it resulted in the most awkward exchange of all time.
I love that.
It was so bad. Like, I didn't watch it. I watched it after. I didn't watch it live. I watched it afterwards, and like, okay, a lot of people made fun of like the Hunger Games opening ceremony thing. It looked kind of cool, but I get how from a driver's standpoint, you're like, I'm paid to drive. I'm not paid to stand here.
I needed Sergio Perez just standing there like,
dude, it was so because like the dude was screaming in his face.
the announcer, like the event planner was like, all right, announcer, you're gonna do this, that, and the other, and they're like, Checo Perez, and then Sergio's standing there, probably didn't remember what somebody told him about. Okay, after this, you're gonna walk here.
Yeah,
and so
you walk here, and you're gonna say,
they're just looking at him like, I don't know what to tell you. Like
line.
Doing yours.
Yeah.
Next up,
super awkward interaction. So we can kind of dial down the festivities. Also, Sphere, kind of cool.
Badass.
Sphere's pretty cool.
Also, get Miami the hell off the calendar.
Also, can we just get rid of Miami? Miami's not good. It won't be good. You can't make it good. We fixed it with Vegas. All we had to do was build giant facilities and upset an entire city. And that's how we got good Formula One races.
Works for me.
That's it. I don't love Vegas. Not my problem. Vegas race.
Yeah.
I want to give the Vegas race for a first time 8 out of 10. Well done, Las Vegas. You get an 8 out of 10. You get an 8 out of 10 from me. However, this past weekend we had the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix at Yas Marina, which is personally one of my favorite tracks on the calendar. It just looks cool. I just want to drive it at some point. It's really bad for Formula One.
Changes in 2021 ruined the track.
True, that is true. Fine, I like the 2020 Yas Marina track better.
Hot take. Yas Marina with chicanes and actual hairpins is better. What I don't understand is DRS and all this other crap is brought around to increase overtaking. And then they de-engineer the tracks with less overtaking.
It doesn't work. It's like it works at Vegas. You know where it works? Vegas. We need Busan level straights for it to work.
I have a question for you. Where do overtakes normally happen? It like in racing generally. Not corner versus straight, but are you on throttle, on brake, off brake for most overtakes?
It's normally two situations.
Yes.
Number one, you have the on throttle corner exit. That's normally what happens. You get a better exit from someone onto a straight in between corners, past there. You also get higher corner speed, pass in the corner. Rare, does happen.
Okay, well somehow, and I'm going to write it off on the fact that you're a motorcycle guy, not a car racer. Somehow you left out under braking.
Braking was going to be the next one. Under braking is where it happens most of the time.
So if you design a course where there's a lot less braking, necessarily there's less opportunities for an overtake.
Here's the thing.
That one F1, Liberty, you can have that one for free. Everything else will have to be contracted.
What we did learn from Vegas, you know what works for overtaking? Really long straights, really tight, slow corners. Oh.
Wow.
Yeah. What? The more you know. Anyway. Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. I'm going to run through your qualifying real quick. Oh, no, I'm not. Because I copied that. Brief intermission, people.
No, screw quali. We don't need quali, Ben. Just get through the race. We're already at 45.
No. My race is also in. Nope. Ben goofed. Ben major goofed right here. It's all right. We'll cut this out. Ben, cut this out. Your race results.
Qualifying?
Kevin Magnussen, P20. Valtteri Bottas, 19th. Carlos Sainz finished 18th. Technically retired. Zhou Guanyu, 17th. Logan Sargent, 16th. Finishing off the season. Still doesn't have a seat for next year. Someone get this boy a seat. Logan Sargent 16th. Nico
In the
Hulkenberg.
audience.
Please find Logan Sargent a seat. Nico Hulkenberg 15th. Alex Albon 14th. Pierre Gasly 13th. His teammate Esteban Ocon was in 12th. Daniel Ricciardo 1 spot away from points in 11th. Lance Stroll doing it for the Canadian Bacon in 10th. Lewis Hamilton 9th. Yuki Tsunoda 8th. Fernando Alonso finishing off a fantastic season, supposedly his best season since 2012, in 7th. Oscar Piastri 6th. Lando Norris 5th. Sergio Perez in 4th. George Russell 1 more podium in 3rd. Charles Leclerc 2nd. And Max Verstappen once again win number 19 on the top step of the podium. Mr. Patty. Abu Dhabi Grand Prix season finisher wasn't terribly interesting. But I mean, it was all right. It was there.
It gets a 4 out of 10.
Yeah, that's kind of true. It's not a good race. And it sucks because we've got it through 2035 is the final race of the season, something like that. It's a long time. Yeah. Hey, Formula One, Liberty Media, Abu Dhabi, Vegas. Swap them.
Hey, Liberty Media. Brazil?
True.
Vegas and Abu Dhabi?
Big facts. Brazil, season finisher. Way better. Anyway, Abu Dhabi, I thought was a fairly decent race. It was okay. I actually didn't watch all of it because I dipped to watch the final race of the MotoGP season, which we'll get to. Yeah. Formula One, done and dusted. Kind of all we have to say. We will do a full Formula One debrief episode, probably episode 90.
And just be wearing a very special piece of merchandise. Do you want to update people on how that finished, Ben?
I will update people on how that finished because I have it right here, Mr. Patty. So if you are new to the podcast, once again, welcome. However, Nick, Patty, and I, many moons ago, approximately before preseason testing, that's important, before preseason testing.
Which we're going to have to do this again, by the way.
Oh, we are going to have to do
an F1 episode, yeah.
Yeah, we can do it then. Because I still have the form. I can just send it to you again.
I remember doing this outside UTSA.
Yeah. We'll do it not outside UTSA, though. So,
thanks.
But
we a bit of a drive.
We did preseason predictions. We predicted the finishing order of everyone, which got kind of thrown off by a Nick DeVries and a Liam Lawson. But anyway, we predicted the entire finishing order of the grid, the finishing order of the teams, and then we also did a rookie roster. And those were the 3 things that we put points on. And the loser of said contest would have to buy the winner a piece of Formula One merchandise. I would be the winner. Mr. Patty would be the loser. And he has purchased me, supposedly, Formula One merchandise, which should be arriving at some point.
Here's
maybe?
The great part, is at no point did we say officially licensed Formula One merchandise.
Oh, that's so much better. Perfect.
I nearly got you a shirt that was Charles Leclerc's head. Photoshopped onto just his legs.
Nice.
And then it was his LEC on the column, but it was just leg. And that was the entire shirt.
Dude, I would have worn that every day. That would have been perfect. Real quick, I will run through your championship standings at the end. So starting from the bottom, Nick DeVries, Logan Sargent, Liam Lawson. That's a tough one, folks. That one's rough. I gotta be honest, as an American, as someone who spent money on Logan Sargent merch, that one's tough.
Yeah.
After Liam Lawson, Kevin Magnussen. I got a point for Mr. Kevin Magnussen. I predicted him in 19th. Well done to me.
Wow.
Zhou Guanyu. By the way, we could talk about this in the full episode. You and I are really bad at this. We did not get a lot of these right at all. So Kevin Magnussen 19th, Zhou Guanyu 18th, Daniel Ricciardo 17th, Nico Hulkenberg 16th, Valtteri Bottas 15th, Tsunoda 14th, Albon 13th, Ocon 12th, Gasly, what would that be, 11th? Lance Stroll, you got that one correct. Well done to you. You put Lance Stroll in, where are you? 10th. Yes, you got Lance Stroll correct. Well done. We got nothing right Lance Stroll, Kevin Magnussen. The bottom 10 were really bad at. In 9th place, Oscar Piastri. By the way, I am going to check this later. I was going to figure out, of all the predictions we made, what was our best prediction. Well, that one's kind of dumb because we got something right. And what was our worst prediction?
Guarantee was the rookie for you, though, because I think I said Piastri was last, right?
So I put Piastri last in my rookie roster. You put Nick DeVries last, which is your best one, because you got guaranteed point at some point. But in our top 20 finishing, you put Oscar Piastri 20th.
Huh?
You put Piastri... I believe, I'll go back and find the clip. I believe the term was hot garbage. was how you predicted Oscar Piastri to do. The dude finished 9th in his rookie year. He did so good for a rookie. In a car...
Is I remember vividly saying Oscar Pastry will be, and I remember over-enunciating the H and going, hot garbage. And
so the best part, though, is you were right, because the first race of the season after Bahrain, he finished last. So you were right at the start of the season. I was like, oh no, what have I done? Because Logan Sargent finished 12th in Bahrain. Like, I thought that I freaking nailed it after Bahrain. I had all 3 of my rookie roster predictions correct. I had all 3 of them right. I put Sargent, DeVries, Piastri, which was correct after Bahrain. I was good for 2 races. And then all of a sudden, Oscar Piastri figured it out and ruined everything. Anyway, Piastri 9th, which no one got. Russell 8th, which no one got. Carlos Sainz 7th, which I got. Shout out to Carlos Sainz, by the way. Carlos Sainz finishing 18th in Abu Dhabi is the only reason you didn't win this, by the way. The only reason.
He finished 18th in Abu Dhabi?
He DNF'd. They retired the car on the last lap. If he got points...
Are you kidding me?
Because if Ferrari passed Mercedes in the championship, I would have lost 2 points, you would have gained a point, and I wouldn't have got this point for Carlos Sainz. Carlos Sainz finishing 18th is the only reason you owe me money. I did it. I freaked out the night before the race. I came in here and did the math, and I was like, how can Nick win this? How can he do it?
I spent $37 on bootlegged F1 merchandise for bets.
Because of Carlos Sainz. So here's the thing. After Vegas, Carlos Sainz was 4th in the championship. He finished 7th in the championship.
I'm going to cry.
That's how bad of Abu Dhabi was for him.
I'm going to cry.
Yeah. Carlos Sainz 7th, which I got. Lando Norris 6th, which no one got. Leclerc 5th, which no one got. Fernando Alonso 4th, which no one got. Lewis Hamilton 3rd, point Ben. Sergio Perez 2nd, which no one got right. Where did you and I put Sergio? I'm actually curious about that.
3rd or 4th?
I put Sergio 5th. You put him 4th. So, I think we had lower expectations for Sergio this year.
For a minute there, though, we could have been right.
We could have been. We totally, like, looking back, some of these were like...
We were like,
kind of. And then Max Verstappen P1, which we both got, which was a pretty safe bet. I'm trying to figure out... I'm trying to figure out next year how we can, prevent just... Because we're both going to pick Max first for next year.
Oh. So, I am going to flip this episode on its head.
Okay.
We save MotoGP until next time. Right here, right now, predictions.
Oh my gosh, no, this is so much stress, Nick.
No prep. No prep.
Zero prep?
Zero prep predictions right here. I will quickly go through MotoGP results while you do this stuff. And then when you're done, we go through. You can talk about the highlights of the season, and then we do predictions. How about that?
I can do that. Go ahead.
Okay, fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, MotoGP, I actually watched a few races this year, which made me a happy, happy boy. We had the Qatar GP 2 weeks ago. I'm going to save the quality results. I'm going to go through your sprint and your race results. In the sprint, you had Alicia Spargaro and Miguel Oliveira, DNF. Then, in ascending order, you had Enea Bastianini, Joao Mir, Taka Nakagami, Iker Lecuona, Pol Espargaro, Franco Morbidelli, Raul Fernandez, Marco Bezzecchi, Jack Miller, Marc Marquez, Johan Zarco, Augusto Fernandez, Fabio Quartararo, Brad Binder, Maverick Vinales. And then your top 5 was Pecco Bagnaia, Alex Marquez, Luca Marini, Fabio Gianantonio, and Jorge Martin, further helping his chances in the championship. Moving into the race, your DNFs were Iker Lecuona and Alicia Spargaro. Then you had Taka Nakagami, Pol Espargaro, Raul Fernandez, Franco Morbidelli, Augusto Fernandez, Joao Mir, Marco Bezzecchi, Johan Zarco, Marc Marquez, Jorge Martin, Jack Miller, Enea Bastianini, Fabio Quartararo, Alex Marquez. And then your top 5 was Brad Binder, Maverick Vinales, Luca Marini, Pecco Bagnaia, and Fabio Gianantonio getting his first race win in the Premier class. Moving into the season finale at Valencia, I'm going to skip quali as well. In your sprint race, you had Fabio Quartararo as your sole DNF. Then Lorenzo Savadori, Alex Rins, Franco Morbidelli, Luca Marini, Taka Nakagami, Enea Bastianini, Pol Espargaro, Alicia Spargaro, Jack Miller, Raul Fernandez, Augusto Fernandez, Johan Zarco, Alex Marquez, Marco Bezzecchi, Fabio Di Gianantonio. And then your top 5 was Pecco Bagnaia, Maverick Vinales, Marc Marquez on the podium, Brad Binder, and Jorge Martin winning the sprint race, again, closing in on Pecco Bagnaia for the championship lead.
Man was a sprint race monster, won 9 sprint races this year.
Yeah, man was on fire in the sprint races. That does say something about Pecco Bagnaia's tire conservation. Moving on to the race. Hello, love. In the race, 20th, your DNFs in ascending order. Marco Bezzecchi, Marc Marquez, Jorge Martin, unfortunately, Enea Bastianini, Augusto Fernandez, Jack Miller, Alex Rins, and Pol Espargaro. 7 DNFs. Then your finishers were Taka Nakagami, Fabio Quartararo, Maverick Vinales, Luca Marini, Alicia Spargaro, Franco Morbidelli, Alex Marquez, and then your top 5, Raul Fernandez, Brad Binder, Johan Zarco, following up his first win in the Premier class with a podium in the same season, and also following his Premier win in the Premier class, Fabio Di Gianantonio in second place on the podium, and Pecco Bagnaia winning the race, and in so doing, winning the MotoGP championship and also becoming a 2-time MotoGP champion. Let me run through your top 10 in the MotoGP championship. In 10th was Fabio Quartararo. In 9th was Alex Marquez. In 8th place, Luca Marini. 7th place, Maverick Vinales. 6th place, Alicia Spargaro. 5th place, Johan Zarco. 4th place, believe it or not, George isn't at home, Brad Binder. 3rd place, Marco Bezzecchi, who I wanted to win the championship. 2nd place, Jorge Martin. And in 1st place, ladies and gentlemen, Ducati factory rider Francesco Pecco Bagnaia, bringing home, like I said, his 2nd title. And he joins a hallowed list of multi-time MotoGP champions in the 21st century, which includes Casey Stoner, which includes Jorge Lorenzo, Marc Marquez, and Valentino Rossi, all of which, if you've watched MotoGP in the last 20 years, you will have fond memories of watching. Ben, were there any significant takeaways that you would like to highlight about the MotoGP season?
So many significant takeaways. Anyway, Qatar Grand Prix happened exactly how I predicted it. You can ask my buddy Tim, who none of you know, so none of you can ask my buddy Tim. But if you could ask Tim and tell it. And he would tell you that I was correct. And he asked me how was it going to go. And I said Martin is going to win the sprint and then fall off in the main race because that has been consistent all season long. Jorge Martin murders it in the sprint race because you don't have to conserve tires, and then you get to the main race, and he rides like his pants are on fire, and he runs out of tires with like 5 laps to go. I've seen this episode every weekend all season. It was so consistent that it happened. It was ridiculous. Jorge Martin did lose the championship, but man, did the guy fight for it. He wanted that more than anyone else. In the Valencia race was an absolute banger. Not only did we only have 12 finishers, something to note, MotoGP top 15 get points, which means everyone who finished got points, which is nuts. But, so, Maverick Vinales was on pole position for the final race of the season. Pecco Bagnaia was second. Maverick Vinales gets a 3-place grid penalty. Pecco Bagnaia starting on pole. Jorge Martin starting 6th. Into turn 1, Jorge Martin gets up to 2nd between the start and the first corner. Everything is going perfectly. We have a championship going down to the final race, and they are 1-2 going into turn 1. And we got 5 glorious laps of Pecco Bagnaia and Jorge Martin on each other. It was beautiful. Then, Jorge Martin sitting behind Pecco Bagnaia in the draft. Something to note, MotoGP is going through an era that Formula 1 went through a couple years ago. They have too much aero on the bikes, it's impossible to pass people. Because the bikes create such a big vortex behind them, Jorge Martin goes to pop out of the slipstream from Pecco Bagnaia, can't, hits Pecco Bagnaia going into turn 1. Your championship 1 and 2 crash into each other. Pecco stays up, Jorge Martin runs super wide, Pecco starts to run away with it. Jorge Martin is down to 16th. Basically secured the championship at this point. Now, what had to happen for this championship to be Jorge's? Going into it, Jorge had to win both, and Pecco had to finish lower than 5th. Sprint race set it up beautifully. Jorge wins, Pecco finishes 5th. Perfect. Final race, if Jorge wins and Pecco finishes 6th, the championship is Jorge's. Now, something to note, in the modern era, a satellite team has never won the championship. Ever. It's never happened. It's only been the factory teams. Something else to note, the number 1 has never been defended by a rider. When you win a MotoGP, never in the modern era. Here's the thing. 2 riders that never switched to the number 1, which this is kind of why it hasn't happened in the modern era. 2 riders that never switched to the number 1, Valentino Rossi, Marc Marquez, never switched to the number 1 because there's a curse about it. So many people got the number 1 and then lost the championship the next year. So Pecco Bagnaia defended it, which is fantastic. But Pecco Bagnaia ran away with it. 3 laps to go. Fabio Di Giannantonio was in 4th. This man does not have a seat for next year. He's being replaced by Marc Marquez, one of the greatest of all time. Marc Marquez has crashed out of this race. Gresini Ducati is crying because they are getting rid of a man in 4th for a man who just crashed out. Fabio Di Giannantonio, with 4 laps to go, suddenly decides that he has brand new tires on his bike and starts making up ground. Passes several people and gets right up on Pecco Bagnaia. It was one of the closest. I mean, they were next to each other crossing the line on the final lap. Fabio Di Giannantonio almost won 2 races in a row. The dude had a stellar final 7 races of the season. I think he got 4 times as many points in the final 7 races of the season that he did in the first 13. The dude figured out the bike. Probably because he got fired, but he figured out the bike. Something else to note. KTM was on top of the world. Because before Pecco Bagnaia was leading, before all the drama with Jorge Martin crashing out, Brad Binder and Jack Miller were leading the race. Jack Miller and Brad Binder were leading the race. KTM has never had a 1-2 finish in the history of MotoGP. And they were going to have it. It was going to be beautiful. It was going to be a fairy tale ending for everyone, except for Jorge Martin. But Brad Binder runs wide, drops down to 6th. Jack Miller is now leading the race and starts to run away with it from Pecco Bagnaia. And then remembers he's Jack Miller and just crashes out all on his lonesome. So, Jack Miller, you should be concerned because the Valencia test has happened Monday and yesterday. We were recording this on Wednesday the 29th, by the way. The Valencia test has happened, and man, does Pedro Acosta look fast. He was on the bike for 4 hours, and he was doing perfect, leaned over, knee touching the ground, elbow dragging, perfect smooth drifts around corners. The commentators were flabbergasted at how quick this 23-year-old got up to pace on this bike. It was ridiculous. The Valencia race was such a good race. It is everything you want a final race to be. Crashing, overtaking, drama, cheering, crying. It was
Okay, I'm ready.
perfect. And thank you to MotoGP for putting on a fantastic season. We will see you next year. Okay, I'm good to go.
Well, do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first?
Oh, I'll let you go first because all these shenanigans was your idea.
I got one better. Let's just go turn by turn, position by position. So Ben, in the Drivers' Championship, who do you have in last?
Kevin Magnussen.
Zhou Guanyu.
All right, by the way, I'm putting years on mine just so that I can keep track of these. Nick Patty went Zhou Guanyu.
Who's your 19th?
My 19th, Nico Hulkenberg.
Kevin Magnussen.
Let's see, that's Nick, and we are going okay, Mag.
18th.
18th, I have Zhou Guanyu.
Logan Sargent. I'm actually interested because if none of ours overlap, then we will never get a point for the same thing.
Oh, that'd be kind of good. 17th, Yuki Tsunoda.
Ooh, Pierre Gasly.
No faith in Mr. Gasly.
Oh, Ben, trust me. My picks are
16th, pretty bold with this one, Logie Sarge.
I have Nico Hulkenberg in 16th.
Probably a safer bet than what I did. 15th, calendar of the year, Mr. Valtteri Bottas.
I have him in 15th as well.
All right, there we go, people. We have overlap.
Who do you have in 14th, Ben?
14th, I have one Alexander Albon.
Ooh, I have Yuki Tsunoda.
Yuki Tsunoda.
I think Yuki's going to do better this year.
13th, I have Lance Stroll.
Ooh, I have Esteban Ocon.
Esteban Ocon.
I think Alpine's going to have a miserable year next year.
We took different approaches to this. 12th, Esteban Ocon.
Alex Albon.
A lot of faith in Albon next year.
Did he not deliver on it this year?
We'll get to this when we do our Formula One official recap. One of the most underrated drivers on the grid, possibly.
Absolutely.
11th, I put Pierre Gasly.
I put Lance Stroll.
You know, for your crazy predictions, some of mine seem pretty crazy. Especially this one. 10th, Daniel Ricciardo.
Same!
Oh, okay. I've got faith in old Danny Rick. Apparently the Racing Bulls, which by the way, I will be pronouncing that with 3 S's every time. The Racing Bulls,
I'm just gonna say
apparently are stealing his
every time.
Some of the memes have been great, but apparently they are stealing as much of the RB19 as the rules allow. So I've got a bit of faith in them.
Okay.
9th, I know this is where you and I are going to differ. Fernando Alonso.
I have Carlos Sainz.
Oof. Okay. In 8th, Carlos Sainz.
Ooh, in 8th, I have Sergio Perez.
Sergio Perez. Poor Sergio. 8th in a Red Bull.
Oh, and you're going to get pissed by the rest of mine.
I was concerned, but now I'm less concerned. Like, I'm really concerned about Logie Sarge in 16th, but I'm much more confident in that you put Sergio Perez 8th. 7th, Oscar Piastri.
7th, George Russell.
George Russell.
Yep.
Okay. 6th, Sergio Perez.
I have 6th, Lando Norris.
Lando Norris. 5th, I have Mr. Wikipedia Stats himself, Lewis Hamilton.
I have Max Verstappen 5th. I think Red Bull is going to hopefully, I swear, please, have a fall off next year.
Max, did you say? I'd like you to repeat yourself for the audience.
Max
in 5th place.
Verstappen will place 5th next year in the Drivers' Championship.
Max Verstappen 5th. Are they putting him in a Haas?
Potentially.
Okay. 4th position, number 4, Lando Norris.
I have Oscar Piastri 4th.
Wait, where did you put? You're going total reverse on what you said about Piastri this year. You were like hot garbage. You're like future world champion. The dude might win everything. Okay, I'm very interested in how this goes. I still think Lando's got an edge on Piastri, but we'll see. Oscar Piastri, P4 for Mr. Nick Petty. Our podium positions.
Yes.
In P3, George Russell.
I have Lewis Hamilton in 3rd. So that's interesting. We both have a Mercedes 3rd, a McLaren 4th, but we have the inverse.
The inverse. So this should be very interesting. 2nd position, Chuck Leclerc.
Same.
Okay.
So we have the 2nd, 10th, and 15th.
Yes. I can do math, Nick. I can count. I can see who you're missing. You can see who I'm missing. I've gone for a safe bet. You have lost your mind.
We're not going for 33, ladies and gentlemen. We're going for number 3. Fernando Alonso will be.
Oh my gosh, Nick Petty, Fernando Alonso for Nick Petty has a chronic addiction to buying me Formula One merch, is what I'm hearing.
You would have told me Fernando would have had 9 or 8 podiums or whatever it was this season. I would have said you're batshit crazy. And
Fernando Alonso on the top, winning a championship.
After I have multiple reasons to back this claim, and the weakest potential this argument is Aston Martin. Fernando has been on top of his game.
The weakest point about this could possibly be the car that he's in.
Mike Crack said they, after this year, want to renew Fernando's contract already. Like, they want to extend because they love what they see. So
yeah, he's the best thing they've ever had.
Thank God you said it. He is better than Sebastian Vettel. I can't wait for all the girls to get mad on social media.
Hey, dude,
Mr. B.
Numbers don't lie. I'm very sorry.
Except for the fact that Vettel's numbers are all better than Fernando's, but it's fine.
Not when he was at Aston.
True.
Okay. Constructors Championship.
Okay. In 10th.
Mr. Patty, you get to go first this time.
Albert.
Ooh, I went all reliable Haas.
Okay, so my 9th is Haas.
Okay, my 9th is Williams.
Oh, this is going to be so good.
8th.
Racing Bulls.
Racing Bulls. I went for Sauber. 7th.
Williams.
Williams for Mr. Patty. I have gone for the French. I've put Alpine.
Okay, so my 6th is Alpine. We're going to have a lot that if one team moves one place, not only is it going to be like me losing a point, it's going to be me losing, you gaining.
But it's going to be a domino effect. All right, so Nick went Alpine for 6th. I went for the Racing Bulls in 6th.
Interesting. My 5th place is McLaren.
McLaren for P5. I went for Aston Martin. I think they're having a dud next year.
My 4th place is Ferrari.
Ferrari for P4 for Mr. Patty. I have gone for McLaren. I think they'll be good, but I don't think they'll be the best.
Interesting. My 3rd place, Aston Martin.
Aston Martin for Mr. Patty. 2nd place.
What was your 3rd?
Oh, sorry, Ferrari. I don't know. Sorry, I must have skipped that one.
No, you're good.
3rd place, Ferrari for me. 2nd place for Mr. Patty.
Goal for me is going to be Red Bull.
Which I'm going to go ahead and fill in your 1st place. Oh, wait. No. Yes. Okay. All right. Well, I just had to see which one you didn't have. My 2nd place, I put Mercedes.
And my 1st place is Mercedes.
And my 1st place is Red Bull. Because Max Verstappen could have won it by himself this year. So I have confidence that Sergio will pick up the pace next year and help out. I think I got pretty solid there with the Red Bull.
So Ben.
Yes.
What do you think is going to be the best circuit race next year?
Brazil.
Mine was Zandvoort.
Zandvoort, Mr. Paddy.
What street race do you think will take the top spot?
I'm going with the new boy in town. I'm going Las Vegas.
Same here, brother. God bless America.
Vegas.
3rd place. Worst
race. Where'd you go with?
Austria, because it's been the worst for the last several years.
Austria, I went Miami.
Interesting. Best U.S.
Could be best U.S. race, Coda.
Coda, obviously.
Coda, obviously. Biased there. Biased.
Podium.
This is where I think things could get interesting. Surprise podium, the Honey Badger.
I did Alex Albon.
Alex, that's a good shout, by the way. That is a good shout.
Who's the surprise winner?
It's going to happen, boys. Lando Norris. It's going to happen. 2024, he's going to get one.
I'm crazy. Fernando Alonso.
I'm so happy that you didn't put your surprise podium and your surprise winner as the same person like you did this year. I was so pissed about that. You put your surprise podium and your surprise winner is Fernando Alonso, and I was pissed because I was like, if Fernando wins one race, Nick is guaranteed to get that right.
So, Ben, who's your surprise flop?
My surprise flop might not actually meet up with my thing. No, it does. I've gone for Sergio Perez.
I've gone for Pierre Gasly.
Pierre Gasly
Struggled this year.
He did struggle. He had some, some ups and downs and more downs than ups.
As if he's the best thing since French sliced bread.
Since French toast, one might say.
A baguette.
Oui. Anyway, we're bringing that back. Okay, this is a lot here. This is a lot. Surprise winner. Surprise winner. I think you went with a fairly safe bet in Fernando. You're putting all the cards on. You're betting everything on green next year. Is what I'm hearing.
Did I not tell you I've put my mortgage down as a bet at the casino?
Surprise winner, Fernando Alonso, safe bet. Lando Norris, not a safe bet. Literally never done that. So
okay, well, yeah, but here's the thing though: McLaren's a better car than Aston, so I don't feel like yours is nearly as scary.
Fernando Alonso's won a lot more races than Lando Norris has.
Yes, 10 years ago or more.
Just saying, you think that he was going to win a championship?
10 years ago, Lando Norris was winning a lot of races in go-karting.
In go-karting, fair point. Surprise podium. I think yours is probably a bit more realistic than mine, but I think mine would be a bit more of a surprise than yours.
I don't know about that though. I feel like
which part?
Like ours are about equal.
They might be about equal. That's true. We haven't seen Daniel Ricciardo over a whole season.
They're both who are good in varying conditions, who are experienced, and who take a bad car and outperform.
True. We could that could be good. We could get even on that one. So Nick Patty, how do you say, since we don't have a rookie roster for next year, we don't have any rookies because
I got a replacement.
I was gonna say we put surprise podium, surprise winner, and surprise flop on there.
I got in addition to that.
Okay.
Surprise driver via injury, transfer market, etc.
Oh, surprise driver.
It's going to be a driver that shows up out of nowhere and drives. And Liam Lawson is not allowed as an answer.
Liam Lawson is not allowed as an answer.
Pedro De La Rosa. I'm kidding. Yes.
Oh my god, that was. I'm sorry. I was so confused. I was like, "Wow, what a shout!"
I think.
Okay. Let me see 1 second, real quick. I'm gonna throw.
Here's the thing. Don't say Pietro Fittipaldi because that won't be a surprise. He's already done it. Like,
yeah, no.
My surprise is going to be Mick Schumacher.
Okay, so I was teetering on Mick Schumacher, Alpine 2024 WEC driver, by the way. Instead, I'm going to go with Mr. Theo Pourchaire
for Sauber.
Or for Sauber, I'm going to go with Theo Pourchaire, the 2023 Formula 2 champion. That is my bet on that one. All right, so instead of our rookie roster, do we want to do surprise podium, winner, flop, and driver? Or do we want to not include flop because flop's kind of subjective? We could do surprise podium, surprise winner, surprise driver. We could do those three.
This is subjective too. Like you and I were just arguing over Lando and Fernando. Like,
well, no, I mean they're kind of subjective or not, but it's one of those things of like surprise winner. If Fernando wins,
surprise podium and surprise winner cannot be people who got a podium or won last season. Because Lando didn't win, Fernando didn't win, Albon didn't get a podium. Who was your podium? Ricardo didn't get a podium. Yeah, so that makes sense. Compared to last year.
Yeah. So that's pretty much how I was looking at that is, okay, if Ricardo gets a podium, I get a point. If Albon gets a podium, you get a point.
Right.
Fair enough.
Right.
Same with Lando, Fernando, and then surprise driver Theo Porcher, Mick Schumacher, one of them hops in. Yeah, get a point. All right, so we'll do that. We will do surprise podium, surprise winner, surprise driver in replace of our rookie roster, and then we will keep our Constructors' Championship and our Drivers' Championship, and we will see this time next year who was way more off than the other person.
And if we somehow win, either Fernando is a 3-time world champion, or the most unlikely, somehow more unlikely than that scenario happened, where Ben wasn't correct, but I also then still got more points.
Yeah, I don't know. This is a very strange one. I'm about to send this to the group chat of the boys and get everyone's opinion on this.
They need to watch the episode to the hour and 30-minute mark.
There we go, guys. Go watch the episode. I'm looking at you, jabronis. You better be watching this episode.
Forget about it.
Anyway, Nick Petty, do you have anything else to comment on for episode 88 of the Clutch Dump? Very long episode 88.
Jacob Illamain, if my predictions are correct, I will Facebook Messenger you every race. And
I'm sure he'll
Fernando merch because all of a sudden
I'm sure he'll love that. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to do it.
Whoa.
No. Sorry.
If Fernando Alonso wins the World Championship next year, I will not only get a tattoo of it, I will non-stop berate Ben for every single day of the off-season after Fernando champion.
Write this down, people. Write this down. Nick Patty is going to get Fernando Alonso's face tattooed on his left butt cheek. If let's be honest, though, even if Fernando Alonso doesn't win, there's a good chance you're going to get a Fernando Alonso tattoo at some point in your life.
Tattoos where it's a silhouette of him leaning back in the lawn chair.
Oh, that'd be awesome. I'll be honest, that'd be kind of cool. I would 100% support. You should do that regardless of whether he wins or not.
If Fernando wins the World Championship, you and I both get matching Fernando lawn chair tattoos.
Absolutely not. No, definitely not. I cannot commit to a tattoo. That's why I haven't gotten one yet. I want to get one so bad, but I can't commit to it. And
for the do it for the listeners, Ben.
Nick, we don't have listeners. No. Especially not hour and 35 minutes into a podcast, we don't have listeners.
If you listen to this point, if we get one commenter that wants us to do it, would you do it?
No.
One commenter that's not me or my wife or Brendan.
No shot. No way. No. We can debate this as the season goes on, but no, Nick, I will
do it before the season.
Well, that's fine. The preseason hasn't started yet. It's fine.
You don't get to see how it goes and then let me know.
No, I said before preseason, pre-preseason, which is what this is. I still have time. But no, whatever it is, I'm not getting Fernando Alonso tattooed on my body. The dude as a driver, yes, impressive, means absolutely nothing to me, so I couldn't do that.
Okay, forget the driver. How about the memes? I would get a silhouette tattoo of Fernando sniffing the flowers in the background.
That's the worst possible reason to get a tattoo, Nick. Why should you permanently print something on your body for the memes, bro? What do you mean?
Permanently funny.
It can be permanently funny out loud, or it can be permanently funny on you, and then I get to laugh at it just as much.
Listen.
I'm not getting a Fernando Alonso tattoo, Nick. That's not happening.
So you think it's that likely that he'd win a championship, ladies and gentlemen? Are you hearing this? Ben thinks...
No, but if I agree to it, he will, so no. I know how this works.
Ben's like, I'm familiar with karma. I dated her.
I'm familiar. Truth. Anyway. Anything else, Mr. Patty? No? You good? You done? You good?
Why?
Great question. Great question.
Come on.
No. That's going to do it for episode 88 of the Clutch Dump. We will see you next time. As Nick said at the top of the show, make sure...
6, and he won't get a potential tiny cutesy Fernando tattoo with his co-host.
Like Nick said at the top of the show, whatever podcast platform listening to this on, make sure you go follow or subscribe. If you're watching this on the YouTubes, thank you so much for sticking around for this long. Make sure you subscribe, like, share the video, comment down below on any of the things that Nick told you to comment down below on. Also, whose prediction do you think is crazier? Which one do you think is wrong?
And should be a matching Fernando cutesy tattoo.
Don't comment that. Put your predictions down below if you got them. If anything else happens in the motorsport world, we will make sure to talk about it on the next episode of the Clutch Dump. We will see you then.